Hey everybody, it's Ginny Field, and I am beyond thrilled to have an opportunity to have an interview with one of my dearest friends. I adore this woman. She's an absolute genius in specifically in what number one, she's a genius in general, but she really is a genius when it comes to the issues of appraisals. And I've been teaching the pricing strategies course frequently lately, and there's one traditional thing that seems to come up, and that's all about appraisals for rural properties. And my dear friend Melanie lives in rural Pennsylvania. Some people can't even say rural, but I can. And she lives in rural Pennsylvania. And so after this last PSA, I said, would you do me a favor and let's just talk about it? So I want to introduce all of you to my dear, dear friend, Melanie McLean out of rural Pennsylvania. I love you, my dear. How are you?
I'm great and I'm honored to be with you.
I'm beyond thrilled. So I call you a genius all the time, Mel. So because I know if there's anybody who is the preeminent appraisal instructor, it's you. And as we know, there are intricacies regarding appraisals. And so let's talk about what happens because I was just teaching for North Carolina. And there's a lot, I mean, Western North Carolina is very rural and there's a lot, big lots, a lot of that stuff. I don't live there. I live in California. But how does one do that when it's so challenging to find a comparable property? What do you do, honey? Tell me, tell us.
Okay. So the very first thing is make sure you have the correct relevant characteristics. Now,
Hmm.
relevant characteristics are features that affect value.
Mm.
You're on a lake, that's a relevant characteristic. You have land, you're zoned for horses, that's a
Mm.
relevant characteristic. If you have a lot of land and it's agricultural, it gets very complicated. What kind of soils do you have? What
Mm.
can you grow there? Are you raising beef, or are you raising crops, or are you doing a little bit of both? So if you don't get the relevant characteristics right, the rest will be wrong. It's very much a challenge because I don't know about Western North Carolina, but I'm sure some of this is true. In my part of Pennsylvania, a lot of the land is owned by the state.
Mm.
It's therefore unavailable for development,
Hmm.
but it's in the way. So you have a
Wow.
big chunk of land, but only a little bit of it is privately owned and never
Wow.
changes hands.
Wow. So what do you do? Like I have a I think one of the gals that was in my class said something about the fact that she was looking at a listing and she was trying to price it, which is what we all try to do. And it was she couldn't find anything nearby. Now I remember the things I've seen in PSIA, and I told everybody that you were the original author of BPOR and then PSA, that a 5 mile radius. Well, what if it's not 5 miles?
So I fought to have 5 miles expanded and I lost that battle because there were other people involved. In my market, 5 miles is not near enough. And again, you have to go back to what are they going to use the property for?
Hmm.
So I'm going to go in a different direction for a second, but I think there's
Please.
probably some of this in Western North Carolina.
Right.
Recreational property, people who want to have a cabin in the mountains, they want
Hmm.
to have a cabin on the lake. Those people will not even care which county it's in.
Right.
They're looking at where do I get what I want? And you know from teaching RSPS, because I know you've done that over the
Hmm.
years,
Hmm.
if you're a ski person,
Hmm.
it's not just one mountain. If you are a beach person, it's not just one beach. It's where can I get the stuff I want? So I would say to her, first of all, go out geographically.
Out.
Also, go back in time because you can adjust for time
Hmm.
almost always. And we have markets that don't have a lot of activity. You know, and I know there are markets so much in demand that when people get to buy a property there, they hang on to it. They
Hmm.
pass it down through their
Hmm.
family.
Yep. 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 So what you just said is interesting. We talked about that because I spent a lot of time, that's why I love PSA and what you did. But we spent a lot of time in how do you adjust for time. And of course, there's an entire paragraph, an entire section. And I repeated it like 5 times just to make sure, understand, go back in time. What was the median price then? What's the median price today? And adjust.
Well,
That's
and your MLS has stats and RPR has stats.
right.
Now, when you're making a time adjustment, be really careful to narrow in on the market.
Hmm.
Because let's just say someone said, oh, the appreciation rate in East Podunk County last year was X%. I guarantee you it was not level across the
Ah,
entire county.
yes, yes,
Some segments would have gone up more.
right.
My recreational market exploded during COVID, and it is still absolutely unreal what people are paying.
So if somebody's buying let's because you can laugh at me. I'm building a dollhouse. It's a farmhouse for my granddaughter because I built a dollhouse for my daughter, separate issue. But if, let's pretend that that farmhouse that I'm building is on 5 acres, and I don't want to do anything with it but live there because I want to have dogs and maybe I'm going to have goats or whatever. I mean, I'm making all of this up.
Chickens, Jenny, everybody wants
Chickens.
chickens.
I want chicken. I don't want roosters.
Mhm.
There's a reason for that. But that's all I want it to be. But I'm not, I'm the agent. Maybe I'm the agent. An agent is selling it to me, and that agent is saying, what are we going to do? How do I price this to help my buyer pay the right price?
So you will go back to your basics of supply and demand.
Mhm.
So a while ago, I listed a property on 11 acres, totally private. You would not have needed a curtain at any window. Zoned agricultural. If you wanted to have a horse, you could have a horse. In the evening, the owners would see the deer come out of the woods, come into their yard.
Love that.
5 minutes from a beltway, giving you access to medical care and employment and other things people like to be close to. An agent bring me a Rolo ball offer. She said, well, the house needed work. And well, this other house over there it doesn't need as much work. And I said, yes, but it's not on 11 acres and it has no privacy.
Hmm.
Well, then I found this comp with acreage and it's nicer. I said, yeah, and it's 30 miles away. And so
Wow.
it's a really long commute and it's not convenient to a grocery
Ah,
store or any of those
yeah.
things. And she said, well, I don't know. Well, while she was dithering, somebody else came in at full price because I was pretty sure I had it priced right. You're going to always look at supply and demand. And typically, larger parcels are rarer. Now,
Mhm.
the other thing to remember with land is they used to say in appraising that the home site is the most valuable parcel, and people will pay proportionately less for other land. But they do like to get enough land to get themselves some privacy and to do
Mhm.
what they want to do.
Mhm. Mhm.
But if you had 100-acre parcel that could theoretically be subdivided into
Mhm.
25-acre
Totally
parcels,
different number. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the sum of the parts is not equal to the value of the whole.
So let's get down to the nitty gritty, if you don't mind. If I am like I am an instructor, and if I'm
You're an
teaching that,
excellent instructor.
I said if I was an instructor, wait, I am. If I'm an instructor and I'm talking about this, or what do you do when you teach PSA and somebody brings this up specifically to rural properties? What cut to the chase comments do you usually make, Mel?
I do the relevant characteristics comment.
That's the primary.
Yeah. I talk about how well do you know your market and
Mm.
has your market changed? Has
Mm.
anything happened? So a lot of parts of the country post COVID, you had city people wanting to be in rural areas. They wanted land,
Oh,
they wanted to go
absolutely. It was
away.
amazing to watch that. Yeah.
It's been absolutely amazing to watch that. And so therefore you've got to keep your eye on the ball as to what is going on in this market and are the prices now being set by out of towners, in which case you have to really pay attention.
Mm.
I know when I teach in Montana, they have a lot of that in
Oh,
Montana and
yeah.
Idaho.
I spoke specifically about Montana and I said, you have to understand, back in the days of the financial crisis, number one, I used to laugh at this. Do you notice how they're a light color? There's not too much of this going on. You want to know why? There's nobody there.
No,
But but there's no such thing as a 5 mile radius in Montana or
no,
Wyoming
no.
because so let's pretend we're there. What do you do for an appraisal there? How do you price a
You
property?
expand your space geographically.
Uh-huh.
You look to hit as many of the things that are similar
Yeah,
between your comp and your subject.
gotcha.
Now, I don't get bent out of shape personally, but I'm not a farm appraiser about outbuildings because I feel like if somebody wants to buy a parcel of land and there's no barn and they want to have horses, they're going to find a way to build a barn to keep their horses in.
Right, 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 right,
And
right.
now, when you're doing strictly agricultural, it really comes into soils,
Hmm.
bushels per acre, that other stuff, and that's beyond my expertise. I'm not a farmer appraiser.
Wow. Well, you know what? You've done exactly what I was hoping that you could help me do, my friend. And it's always a joy to talk to you. You are just remarkable. And with your permission, as I mentioned earlier, what I'm going to do is at the end of this video, when I do my edits, I'm going to add contact information
Sure.
for them to reach out to you so that if they have any specific questions, because you and I are of the same ilk as instructors, we want to help people succeed.
Well,
And
Jenny,
that's the
you're
most
one of
important.
my dearest friends, and I would do anything for you anytime, and you know that.
Oh, my darling, I love you more than I can say. Come visit me.
Love
We
you
don't
too,
have any of
dear.
that stuff where I live in California. I mean, we got none of that. I got a
I
green
do.
space behind me, which makes me happy, but I don't have any chickens. And that's
You have
okay.
to come visit me sometime. I'll take you to my cabin up in the mountains.
Oh my goodness, you're making an offer I can't refuse. I might have to do that, but not in the war. I just got back from Chicago. It was so cold. I was complaining the entire
Oh
time.
no, don't come now. It's very cold.
I don't want that. I don't want that.
Oh,
But let's do it. And also,
okay.
my Melanie makes things like cans things. I don't do any of that stuff. I make pasta, but I don't make any of that stuff. I love you. You're the best. I appreciate you so very much. And I'm sure that your input is going to make some changes in some folks' minds and help them be better at looking at how do we do a price on a property in this environment. So I
Well,
adore you, my friend Mel. I always appreciate seeing you, even if it's by Zoom. So thank you so much for your
thank you.
time and your expertise. I love you.
I'm always here to help, and I really appreciate it, Jenny. Have a great day.
You too, my friend.